This machine is called the Spot Welder. What it actually does is take two pieces of sheet metal or any type of metal and weld it together. You must understand that when welding comes apart of something, when metal gets really hot, it expands. And when it goes back together. So that's basically what's happening with the spot welder. The metal is getting really hot, it's expanding, and then all these pieces are interlocking back in together. In this classroom we have two spot welders. We have a floor model and we have a tabletop model. Basically the parts are all the same. You have what they call the welding prongs or the welding arms. You have the welding tips, which are two. You have one on the bottom, one on the top. Then you go back here and you have a handle which controls the throat, up and down like that. You have a trigger that goes either direction, which is located just below the handle. Then you have a housing, which really houses about, I would say, about 2 miles of copper wiring, which conducts all of this energy from a 220 outlet, which is connected by the cord right here, which goes into the wall. Now this is 220 volts, not 110. And if you can see these little prongs on here, they change. They're different than a 110. They're both slanted. So understand that when you put this into the wall, you have 220 volts that are running into the machine. How do you spot weld? Okay, there are certain things or certain safety rules that you need to keep in mind. Number one, you need to have your safety goggles on. Number two, if you're using small pieces of material, you should have a pair of pliers. If you're using a bigger area, then you really don't need to have a pair of pliers, because all that's going to happen is get in your way. The third thing that you have to remember is that the welding tip, please do not weld these tips together. So you should not hit the trigger when the welding tips are together. Only that there is a piece of metal in between them. And the fourth thing is that whenever you start your welding, you may want to practice a little bit before you actually plug it in and do it. Okay, so let's weld two pieces of sheet metal together. What we may do is take these two pieces of sheet metal, and because this sheet metal has galvanized on it, sometimes they don't always weld together. So you may have to take some sandpaper and sand them apart just so that they stick together. But basically, what if you're going to do is you're going to pull it apart like this, set the weld on it like this, okay? And what I'm doing right now is just practicing, showing the actual practice. And you go 1001, 1002, and 1003. Okay, so that's basically what you're going to do for practice. If you feel confident about doing it, so now you take it and plug it into the wall. You set this up here, okay, and you set it down like this, and then you're going to hit the trigger. Well, there's one thing I forgot to do. Obviously, this cord, or this whole unit right here, is controlled by a power switch, which is located on the wall over by the door that's in the shop room. So basically you have to turn on that whole power system before the actual item will work. Okay? Alright? There's a start and stop button right over there on the wall that will control it. Alright, so basically, now that the power's been turned on and we have it plugged in, we can sit here and do this, and you get a little bit of a hum sound. And I know that's kind of a hard thing to see, but you're going to see things like that. It's going to get real hot, and that's basically what you're going to do to spot weld. Now the spot weld, as you can see, is right there. Here is the biggest fault of most kids. Most kids take their hands and put it really close to this. When you understand something, heat expands, and it's going to run down the sheet metal very quickly. So you have to understand that you can't grab the area around the area in which has been spot welded. It's not a very good idea to take it over to the sink and cool it off either, because what happens is that the heat will run up the sheet metal pretty fast. So just naturally let it cool. It doesn't take very long for it to cool. If you want to spot weld again, all you can do is take another piece of sheet metal, and you could weld it across like this, okay? And again, you put it on there, and you turn it like this, okay? And you can see that. Now, you saw a lot of sparks that time. The sparks will not hurt you, okay? All it is galvanized coming off. So basically, this is what you're getting two pieces of sheet metal that are going together like this, okay? And basically they're not going to be burnt, but I mean basically they're being welded together, and you can see on both sides. Now how do you fix that? When it cools off, you can take either sandpaper to it or a double cut file and just kind of file that area so that it looks a little bit cleaner. When you are done using the spot welder, the first thing that you do is unplug the machine. Okay? Unplug the machine, pick up any items that need to be taken off of the floor, and move on.